Hello everybody. This is the end of my second week here in Orlando. It's actually a week and a half. I'm not really done with my 2 week stint. But it is my second week in Orlando and I'm heading home for the weekend. Just wanted to update you on what's going on with the situation, talk a little bit about Denoy's reasoning and why he does what he does, which sometimes doesn't seem to make any sense. But hopefully this video will help to clarify why I do what I do and why I make the decisions I do the way I do. It is Friday, and I actually finished early because the other sales guy let me do a bunch of shows in a row. When there's two of us there, we have to do 16 shows. So I had to do 8 shows, which I did really want back to back. So I got done and left early. He's doing his other 8, and that'll make a total of 16 for the day. I didn't do that well. It was better than the first day, but I think I only got 6 for the day, which is actually pretty bad. Made about like 36 bucks for the entire day. So some of you are wondering why I'm still staying in this job, even though I'm apparently only making as low as 12 bucks or $36 a day or whatever. The reason is actually pretty simple, and it has to do with what's called a draw. For those of you who don't know what a draw is like a loan that the company gives you against your future earnings. So what happens is this. Because they know that sometimes you have bad weeks, because they put you in a bad location, there's no customers at that particular store, or it's just whatever, something goes wrong and it's just bad, you don't make the sales, you don't get that much money. Well, what they do is they give you kind of a loan. They pay you like a minimum wage pretty much, okay, for your 40 hours that you're working. So you're not really working for free. So they pay you that minimum. And even though you didn't sell enough to make that money, what that means is it ensures that you at least get a salary, kind of like a salary. And that allows you to pay your bills. Now, you actually owe them that money because you didn't earn it yet. Because this job is pure commission. So the draw is good in the sense that it makes sure that you always have money to pay your bills, but it's bad because now you owe money to the company. And the plan is that you will eventually get your sales number up so that you can make enough to cover the draw and extra to pay back what you owe. So the company's taking a risk when they give you the draw because you might not be able to pay them back. So some of you think, but you owe the company money. Yeah, you owe the company money until you make the money, to cover the draw. Then any extra that you have goes back to repay the loan from the previous draw. So let's just put it in a number so it makes a little bit more sense. If I get paid $400 a week, okay, is what they consider my draw, then no matter what, each week I will get paid $400. Okay, that would be the draw amount. So if I only sell $300 worth of knives, the company will loan me $100 to make sure that I get paid $400. But that means I would be $100 in the hole. So I will owe the company $100. So let's suppose the next week I sell $500 worth of knives. Well, instead of getting paid $500, I would only get paid $400 because they'll take out of my $500 the $100 that I owe that they paid me the previous week for the draw to bring my $300 up to $400. See how that works? It makes sure that every week, even if I have a bad week, I get a minimum wage. And that's designed so that, I don't know, there may be a law about that, like if you're working that you have to at least get paid minimum wage. So I do get paid, and it's not a lot of money for the draw. So the hope is that you're actually going to earn more than draw, because if all you're earning is a draw, you're pretty much earning minimum wage. And that's kind of what I was earning at the handyman job. So pay-wise, this job on the draw is about the same as what I make as a handyman assistant. So some of you might be wondering why I opted to stay in the Hessler gig when the handyman job said I could stay a little bit longer. The reason is actually pretty simple. The handyman job is also a temporary job where when the work runs out, they let me go. So they said they had additional work, but I didn't know for how long. It could have been for 1 more week, it could have been for 2 more weeks, and then I would be unemployed again. So with the knife gig, okay, I don't know how long it is either, but I'm hoping it's going to be more than 2 weeks or 3 weeks. I'm hoping it'll be at least 3 months, if not somewhat of a permanent job for me, depending on how well I do. I would ideally like to do more than the draw, because the draw is like minimum wage. You can't really live off minimum wage if you've got to pay child support and you got bills like rentals and like the rent that I have to pay right now, and utilities and whatnot on a sticks and bricks. So I have to make more than minimum wage. But the fact that I get the minimum wage is a incentive for staying in the knife gig. Another issue is that with the knife gig, when you first get into it, you end up expending a lot of your own money for gasoline, for supplies and whatnot. But what you do is you collect the receipts, and then you can file with the company for a reimbursement of these expenses. They don't reimburse you everything. As a matter of fact, you get kind of a little bit chipped off on the mileage. So for the mileage that you travel, okay, every day, they deduct 40 miles each way before they give you 30 cents on the mile. So that means if you commute 100 miles to get to work and back, 100 miles round trip, okay, they deduct 40 miles on your way to work and 40 miles on the way back. So your 100 miles round trip, you only have 20 miles credit, because they take away 40 in the morning and 40 in the evening when you come back. That's 80 miles they take away. So 80 plus 20, which is the 20 that they pay you, is what you'll make on what they give you for gas expense. And 20 miles, they only pay you 30 cents a mile. So you would get 30 cents times 20 miles, which is what, about $6 or something like that? That's what they would pay you. So it's not a lot. And as a matter of fact, it's going to cost you more than the $6 to get to work. So they're kind of getting some money out of you in that way, because you're kind of putting the money into driving to work. But truly, if you were working another job, even at McDonald's or whatever, you don't even get mileage. So maybe you do spend the $6 or whatever every day going to work, and you don't get reimbursed for it at all. So the whole idea is just so that you're not taking the full brunt of how much it costs to commute. They'll actually pay you some. And the reason for that is sometimes the job requires you to drive several hundred miles in a day. Like if you saw me previously, 1 week I'm in Orlando, the next I'm in Palm Beach or West Palm Beach. That's a lot of miles. So they pay me to commute, okay? And that's why I chose to do it, even knowing that I would go negative. Like right now, I've had to spend money on gas for the past week and a half of driving back and forth to work and whatnot, but I claimed it as mileage, so they're paying me, I think they're going to give me $150 for gasoline for the 2 weeks. Actually, it doesn't even just cover through now, it'll cover through next week of me traveling back and forth, because I just found out they're keeping me in Orlando for another 2 more days, Monday and Tuesday. So that barely covers my gasoline that I spent, to get to work, but it's better than nothing. And the $150 they're going to give me will be useful for buying more gas to keep going to work. Now, getting paid, you don't get paid right away. You have to fall into the pay cycle, which takes at least 2 weeks, and I think 1 more week for paperwork. So usually it takes 3 weeks before you start getting paid. So that's why things are really rough right now, because I left the handyman job, which was paying me weekly, and now I'm working in a job where I won't be getting paid for 3 more weeks. Well, now 2 more weeks, well, 1 more week now, because I've been here 2 weeks, or a week and a half. So it'll be another week and a half or so before I even get paid. I think I get paid like December 1st. So it is a struggle, and that's why you see me eating stuff like really, really cheap at Dollar Tree, because it's going to be another 2 or 3 weeks before I even get paid. So that's what's going on with that. But once I start to get paid and I get my reimbursements for my mileage and my expenditures, this job becomes not the greatest job, but at least enough to earn like minimum wage. Obviously, you want to earn more than minimum wage. But this job, if you're really good at it, which I've seen some people who are really good at it, and I know I myself have done really good at it from time to time, you can make way more than minimum wage. And since we're in the holiday season where people are wanting to have family gatherings and they want to cook, they want to cut food, these knives are actually really good sellers right now. You know, they're fantastic knives. And people who have the money are very quick to buy them up because it's an excellent value. The issue is finding a store, getting into a store where they haven't had a knife show in a while. Because when you go there, if the people have already bought the knife previously, they don't need it anymore. These knives are guaranteed for life. They never, you know, you never need to buy another set of knives. So once somebody buys it, they don't ever need to buy another one unless they want to get it as a gift for somebody. So that's what hurts when they put me to a store that has had a show very recently, or an area where, you know, people just don't, there aren't enough customers. And kind of that's what's going on with the NEX, although the NEX really, it's more of a weekend place because the other guy was there for the weekend, and in one day he sold 44 knives, or 44 knife sets. And I think at that rate, I think for the week, he probably getting like $8 each. So do the math, 8 times 44, what's that? 8 times 40 is 32. He made like $340, $350 in one day. That's not bad. Now, I didn't make that. I wasn't here over the weekend because I value my weekends with my children. And some of you are saying, well, Denoy, that's foolish. Why would you take a knife job and, you know, a sales job and not sell on the weekend when that's when you make the most money? Well, the reason, once again, is actually pretty simple. The whole reason for me working is to make sure that I can keep making child support payments so that I can see my children on the weekends when they're off from school and whatnot. If I don't stick to a consistent schedule, my ex-wife refuses to let me see my children on my days off. That's what happened when I was a mailman and I didn't get the weekends off. She wouldn't let me see my children, ever. So I went to court on it, and the judge basically said, well, Mr. DeBoer, if you can't have a schedule where you can see the kids on a consistent basis, you don't get to see the kids. She's not doing anything wrong. I'm like, okay, so you're telling me if I work to make sure that I pay for my children, child support and stuff, you're not even going to let me see my kids. That's pretty much how it works. So, in order to make sure that my ex follows the court order, I have to be available on a consistent basis. What that means is I have to have a job where I'm always off on the weekends per the visitation schedule, where I don't get to see my kids. Now, for some of you, it may not be an issue. You know, you don't think it's a big deal to not see your children, but for me, that's the whole point why I am still even in Florida, why I'm still here, is I want to make sure that my children are okay, and that I'm there for them, and that I can check up on them every other weekend to make sure they're good and they're okay and nothing bad is happening to them. And that's why I do what I do. Otherwise, I would have taken the job offers I had to go teach overseas. And in that case, I wouldn't be seeing my children at all. Except maybe when I come back stateside for a couple weeks every year. But even then, my ex may not let me see them. And the judge will not enforce allowing them to see me. Because they'll say, you didn't follow the visitation schedule. So, That's why these decisions are being made that don't seem to make any sense. People who don't know the background and what's actually happening have no clue that these decisions are actually being dictated by rules and regulations or orders from the court. So that's why I opted for the weekends. Now, I only see my children every other weekend. So at this point, I'm actually trying to get to work during the weekends where I don't have my children. This way, on the weekends where I do have my kids, I can have a consistent schedule, so my ex-wife can't say that I don't have a regular schedule where she has to let me see the children. Because that happened before, and, you know, I was basically told I need to have a regular schedule or else they're not going to enforce visitation. So that will allow me to see my children on visitation weekend, but on the weekends that I don't have my children, I'm trying to get the company to work with me, and if they schedule me to work those weekends, instead of letting me have those weekends off, then I'll go ahead and work those weekends, which should increase my sales number, because weekends are when you make the most sales. That's when people go shopping. I'm also requesting for them to give me 2 consecutive days off so that I can at least spend some time with my wife, because I don't get to see her at all, you know, because of this job. So by doing that, all this still needs to be worked out, but it will allow me to see my children on a consistent basis on visitation weekend, and at least have some time off where I can spend it with my wife and her daughter, so we can at least be a family instead of, you know, we're married and everything, but we're not even behaving like a family because I never get to see anybody. And that's why I'm sticking with this job, because Hessler is working with me to try to make this work. Now, obviously, I need to make more than the draw. And the person that will determine whether or not I can do that is pretty much me. The company does play a part in that it depends on where they put me. I don't get a choice as to the store I go to. They have a schedule that they have to stick with that they worked out like a year or half a year in advance with Sam's Club and the Navy bases and all the other places that they have a contract with where we go to do the live show. The knife that I sell, I don't just stand there and say, come buy our knives. I actually do a show, kind of like what you see on TV, the Ginsu knife. But it's an interactive show with a real audience. You know, on the Ginsu commercial, what you have are paid actors to pretend that they're the audience members. And they also cut and edit and show you all these things to get you to buy those knives, and all the people seem excited and everything because they're paid actors. They're not real. On my shows, maybe I'll go ahead and do a segment on it just to show you the process, you know, what actually goes through for the show. But I essentially walk around the store and give out these tickets to tell people that they can get a free gift when they hear the announcement, and when they come to the knife booth, which I have set up. Then they come over to the knife booth with the ticket, and then I get them to watch my show, and then afterwards I give them their free gift, which is a little paring knife. Now, during that show, I have about 10 to 15 minutes to convince them to part out $50 to $150 or more to buy our knives. That's actually pretty hard to get someone, you know, just spur of the moment to spend $50 to $150 or even more. But when you see the show and see the knife, you'll see how fantastic these knives really are. They're like an excellent bargain for what, you know, we're selling them for, and especially with the lifetime guarantee. So anyone who doesn't have good quality knives and has the money definitely wants these knives. They are a fantastic deal, and that's why I'm able to do this job. It's just an issue of getting to a store where I have enough people watching the show who need knives and have the money to spend on these knives. That's the secret. The other thing, of course, is to have a really nice show. I think my show's pretty good. On, you know, my last stint, I struggled a bit at times, but once I got into the hang of it, I was doing okay. on average, I sold about anywhere from 15 to 27 sets a day. So, you know, I was averaging about $6 or $7 a set. So I was making about $80 to $90, up to $100, sometimes $300 in one day. But most of the time, it averaged out. You know, like some days, you had really bad days where you didn't make any sales. In that case, you earned zero. And in other days, you earn minimum or less. And in other days, you do really good. It just depends on where they stick you and, you know, whether or not those people, they want to buy the knives. So that may not answer it to you yet, why I stuck with the knife gig. And the reason is simple. I'm pretty much, unless they fire me, guaranteed a minimum wage draw, so I can at least pay my bills and my child support, okay? But if I do really well, I can do better than minimum wage and actually try to get caught up on the arrears, and also try to save up some money so I'm not in this situation where I'm living like struggling every single day. It's been a struggle because I'm not earning enough. So my hope, okay, is that knowing what I know now about the knife gig, I can do better. That I can sell more than minimum wage, earn more than minimum wage each week, because this isn't going to cut it. Not just for me, but if all I'm doing is earning the draw, the company will get upset and they'll let me go. They need people who can sell a lot more than, you know, what you would get paid for minimum wage, because they obviously are looking for people to make a lot of money for them, and for the salesman or woman. So I hope that explains to you the reasoning on the job and why I do what I do, and why I chose to go ahead and take the chance with the Hessler Worldwide, even knowing all the bad things about it. It is a gamble that I can actually do better this go around and try to make enough earnings to get myself stabilized. Whether or not I stay with Hessler as a career depends. It depends a lot on what happens over the next couple of weeks and months, if I can ever get above the draw. If it looks like all I'm going to sell is enough to make the draw or stay below the draw, I obviously will not be staying, because I can't afford it and they can't afford to keep me. But if I can earn more than enough, this job might be a suitable job for now. I don't see it as a permanent career, but I could stay here for a while to get myself caught up. The other thing about staying in this job, in case you haven't noticed, is I've been trying to keep the YouTube channel up. My last go-round, the YouTube channel started to die once I took the job with Hessler Worldwide, because I wasn't able to do the updates as much as I was before I took the job. This time around, even though I'm working full-time, I have worked very hard to try to keep the channel up. I've been trying to put up 1 to 2 videos daily if I can, and that keeps the channel going. So right now the channel is still growing very slowly, not as quickly as I would hope, but it is growing, which means you guys are doing a good job of tuning in and sharing and watching it and commenting, because YouTube looks at all that to showcase your channel to other viewers who might be interested. So by having videos that get a lot of thumbs up, a lot of comments, a lot of views, they spread those to other channels, you know, when they have the pop-up that show people other videos they might like, and it helps to make this channel grow. And ultimately, if you look at the growth of this channel and how fast we've grown, the channel's been around a little bit under 2 years. In February, we will have hit 2 years for the channel, and we're not as big as some of those channels that grow overnight, the viral channels, but I would say we're not doing too badly. Right now, we're at just a little bit under 5,000 subscribers, and about 1.7 million views or so, roughly, which to me is actually pretty good for being under 2 years. I know there are other channels that get far more views than this. They might even get more than 1 million views in one video. My 1.7 million is for all the videos. And I think that's not too bad. You know, it's not as good as one of those really successful, popular channels, but for being a niche channel and for being a channel that's only 2 years old, I think we're doing pretty good. And I want to thank all of you for helping this channel to become like it is right now, to actually stay alive. And with the current situation with the YouTube advertising, you know, demonetization and stuff like that, I'm trying to do my best to try to keep the channel going. So some of you who are observant might have noticed changes in the titles, changes in the pictures, changes in the description and the tags after videos go up. And the reason that's happening and continues to happen almost on a daily basis is because YouTube keeps suddenly demonetizing stuff. And what I have to do is scan for those videos that have been demonetized and make adjustments and then hope that they change. YouTube will not review a video unless you have 1,000 views within 1 week. Sadly, most of the videos in this channel are lucky if we hit 1,000 views over a year. So obviously I haven't had videos that have been reviewed by YouTube. But I do put in the request for them to review it. They just don't review it. But I was, you know, reading on it and watching YouTube's commentary, and they said that if you change the title, if you change the picture, if you change the tags, the computer, the robot, the AI will look at the video again and then reassess it to see if it can be demonetized or remonetized. And that's what I've had to do. To date, most of the videos have been remonetized, but it's still a pain because, you know, when I upload new videos, a lot of them are demonetized, and I have to go through and keep doing all these adjustments. Sadly, they demonetize it right at the beginning. That's when I get, you know, all my views. So all those views don't earn anything for this channel. And that's what's going on with that. This video is going on and on, so I'm going to go ahead and end it right now, but I hope you found this information helpful to understand why I'm doing what I'm doing and the reasoning and what's actually happening with the channel and with my personal situation. I am on my way back home, so I am still renting from Walter. I'm generally there, you know, when I'm off from work, and not in the van full time. So when I'm not working, I'm at the house, but when I am working, I'm actually on the road living in the van. And that's why you're seeing all this content with me doing stuff in the van, living full time. So I hope that clarifies the issue for those of you who are confused. But that is the situation. In the meantime, I hope you're all staying safe. I want to thank you all for tuning in and thank you for your continued support and words of encouragement. They are highly appreciated. I want to thank those of you who have basically offered advice and suggestions as you see the situations that develop. They are appreciated by me as well as viewers who watch the videos later. I recommend that everyone always read the comments because there's a wealth of knowledge under there. Thank you very much, everybody. Have a great day.